Everybody here should recognize the fact that you're working on the most important technology in the world right now. And I say that without any dramatization. The reason why this is a fact is that the work that we're doing secures what AI will become in the future. So for the next 2 years, all of you who are working on how do we ensure that rules are followed by AI and make it provable, you are literally working on the most important space and technology of the next 2 years. So let's talk about what we're building, the world we want to create. Imagine if every industry could utilize the best models with their most sensitive data on their most sensitive systems and have certainty that they've retained ownership of their data. Nobody gives up anything. So if you're a healthcare network, you can run the best models on your patient data. A financial services institution, an insurer, a nation state on citizens' data, knowing that you're retaining the sovereignty of your data. That's the world that we want to build. It ensures that we have a durable, thriving ecosystem that benefits from AI. It's the safest path forward and creates the greatest benefit for humankind. However, there is an alternative path. And this alternative path is one that we organically drift toward. And we've seen it in each technology cycle after technology cycle. And that is one in which, in order to use the best models, people are giving up their data. And that data then pools into one or two intelligences or minds that are owned by one or two companies that power the cognitive infrastructure for the planet. And everybody becomes dependent upon one or two entities. That doesn't make them a customer. That makes them a dependent. That creates a system that is very fragile and brittle, one in which there's a single off switch, one in which there's a single set of blind spots. And it is not a durable environment. So how do we create a durable, thriving ecosystem? Very simply, it's one word: sovereignty. We enable everybody to have sovereignty of their data. Everybody must be able to decide the rules for how their data or model weights are going to be treated. And that has to be encapsulated in some portable record or a passport that they can rely upon to be enforced and provable. How do we create this record in a manner that's provable? Well, where's the trust boundary? Where does the trust come from? Is it some third-party entity? We have a solution for this today. It comes from the silicon. It comes from the hardware. So here's how this works. And today, we're announcing a raft of open source releases that have been co-developed from a whole bunch of different entities. We call it Agent Trust. It's on GitHub. We've taken Microsoft's Agent Governance Toolkit, which is now deployed in millions of deployments. Within the first 2 months, it had over 4,000 stars on GitHub. The original creator, it was released under an MIT license. His name's Imran Sadiq. He's around here somewhere. He's the chief platform officer at Opaque. He joined us recently. We took that, we extended it, and we released it to open source. And what we're announcing is Agent Manifest, which is proof of exactly what an agent is, what rules it must operate under. And we've also released the first ever confidential MCP. So this is taking governance rules, baking it into MCP, and then enforcing it in hardware cryptographically so you can deploy it reliably with zero trust and prove what it actually did. So all of this gets bound into, all these actions gets cryptographically bound into a single governance record we call trace. Trusted runtime attestation for confidential execution. So this is not some one-off other standard. We're taking standards that already exist, open source libraries that already exist. We've been collaborating across a whole multiplicity of people within the ecosystem to release this, and it's available today. It allows you to see what ran, what data was touched, where it was run, everything you need to know, and you could produce this record before you distribute a workload to a host or share data. You can inspect the record and say, is it going to honor my sovereignty? Is it going to honor my rules? So it takes an ecosystem to achieve this. So we're upgrading the trust layer for this technology platform shift in the same way that we had to do for the internet to become a software distribution platform or an e-commerce platform. We have to do the same thing for AI in order for people to retain the sovereignty of their data. So it takes an ecosystem. And great news, that coalition exists already. They're all members of the Linux Foundation. We've been collaborating with all of them. They're all here at the Confidential Computing Summit. But the significance here is we're taking an open standard, AGT, we're extending it, we're making it possible for you to govern your agents, cryptographically enforce it. We're making MCP far more secure and reliable through hardware enforcement, and it's all available for free to all of you to build on. So now that we've talked about the open source and open standards that we've released in collaboration with a whole bunch of partners, thank you all for participating. Let me share with you briefly what Opaque's delivering for our customers. Oops, I went too far. Here we go. Let's talk about what people are doing today prior to the standard. That's a key point that I should have made to begin with, which is if you look at how organizations are embodying their standards, it's through manual processes and one-off, but they don't communicate with one another. So by having a standard that everybody agrees to, it's portable, it's also enforceable in the hardware like I mentioned. So now I'll talk about what Opaque's offering to our customers and how we're building with them. First, let's recognize what the struggle is. For all of us, which I'm sure everybody here has already done this, who are building agents, we understand the challenge. The challenge is that these agents are like really adorable bionic puppies. They're incredibly powerful, they surprise you and delight you, and sometimes they surprise you and mortify you because they're incredibly fast, they're not housebroken, whatever they get their hands on they chew through, and periodically they leave embarrassing puddles of data around your house. So in order to govern these, there's two parts to it. What Opaque provides is a confidential AI platform that gives you the software layer building on AGT, an agent trust, to put governance rules on your agent regardless of what framework you're using. It's deterministic, it operates at the action layer, and then in order to take it the full way there so that you can prove, even while you're building, that it actually is being enforced, we enforce that with our confidential core. So that's hardware enforcement, cryptographically enforcing the rules of the agent and producing proof through attestation of what actually where did it run, what rules did it follow, et cetera. And we've been working on this not just with all of our partners in the ecosystem, but through work with our customers like Anthropic, Encore Capital, Accenture, ServiceNow. And there's two parts, as I mentioned. There's agent control, which makes it fast and easy for you to build the agent so that you can go like, what is it doing? How do I know what it's doing? And then the confidential core when you're ready to deploy and get up to scale so that you can connect these systems together or connect your most sensitive data so you can scale faster. So all of this falls under the same umbrella, our confidential AI platform. And to deliver verifiability, you've got to have both the software and the hardware. So what does it produce? What does this look like? So you're looking at what precisely is produced. And this is coming out of Opaque, but this isn't something that Opaque cooked up in our own little code lab. This is actually building on existing standards. Because in order for this to work, to have a trust layer that can interoperate, we can't go off into our little code cave and build something ourselves. We have to build using open standards as part of a collaboration of the ecosystem. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. So this is an example of trace, right? That passport that you can decide whether you can access my data or I'm going to distribute my workload to a different host. And then what you're looking at here is an ear. So for those of you who are familiar with an EAT attestation result, that's what you're looking at here. So every single line in this is actually provable by a third party. So you can prove, where did it run? Oh, okay, I can see that we're using AMD as the hardware root of trust in this example. It's running on Azure. What ran? This is the AI bomb. And then what were the policies that were enforced at runtime? So the significance of this is twofold. One, this is taking standards that already exist, packaging it into an easy-to-use platform so that it's portable and anybody can interoperate with it. And then the other part of this is, it's the only way that you can reliably connect your most sensitive data and systems to AI agents, which are these bionic puppies that chew through everything and leave embarrassing puddles of data around. Because you can actually restrict it through hardware to follow your rules and then prove it to a third party. And that's the final thing, which is regulators are increasingly requiring this, and there'll be some speaking about that today. There's one other thing I want to call your attention to. Opaque also does this entirely with post-quantum cryptography. So with the technology of our partners, TII, who will be speaking here today and tomorrow, we provide, as part of our platform, post-quantum cryptography so that you have not just proof today, but proof in a post-quantum world as well. Now, where do all of you come in? Well, we've taken a bunch of open source packages and standards. We've packaged them together. We've released them for all of you to build on, all of you to use, all of you to run with. It's under Agent Trust. We hope that you'll go use it, take advantage of it. You already are today. If that's not clear, like I mentioned, we're building on Microsoft AGT. It's literally got millions of deployments out there. Your teams are probably already using these technologies today. We've just extended it further to provide additional guarantees, and it's free for all of you to use, and we hope that you'll actually participate with us in building it. And then, if you've built something and you want to connect it to your most sensitive systems or data, great, reach out to us at opaque.co, and we'd love to talk to you. Now, I want to leave you with one thought. For me, all of this in my entire career, even in my early starts around open source, has been about one thing: freedom. So when we talk about data sovereignty, we're talking about freedom to choose. Freedom to choose which is the best model I'm going to use for my data, for my use case. And I don't want to trade anything for that. So Dr. Najwa Waraj from the UAE is a world-renowned cryptographer. She builds AI at nation-state scale. She runs a frontier lab. She'll be speaking here today. She says it very well. There's no such thing as sovereign without verifiable guarantees. And then just to add to that, it goes back to what I'm really passionate about, as I mentioned, which is AI is obviously the defining force of our generation and probably for generations to come. Sovereignty over your data is the defining freedom. We should never have to pay for AI with our data. That creates a world in which it's monolithic and brittle, and nobody benefits from that eventually. Maybe a few do initially, but it comes crumbling down eventually. So for me, what I want you all to leave with is, let's optimize for freedom. That means data sovereignty. That means the freedom to choose which model you want without having to pay for it with your data. Thank you very much.